Got a special Sunday roast here because we wanted to talk about the tariffs. What were your thoughts?
It's crazy, man. Someone messaged me last night. It was nuts. They had the amounts on and everything. I'm literally just bringing it up now so I can check because the UK got off lightly on 10%, and a lot of people are giving credit to Starmer on that. But I just think we're not big dog enough to put the big tariffs on. Do you know what I mean? His whole argument around like, we put taxes on stuff via VAT. It's like, motherfucker, we tax pretty much most things with VAT. Like, even if it's made here, you're still paying VAT on it. So this guy, absolute clown shoes. So yeah.
25% on automotive?
Yeah, I think it's because he's trying to revive US car manufacturing. The problem is though,
Yeah.
a lot of it still got outsourced even under his term. Like they lost lots of jobs. So like this idea that manufacturing is going to, come back in America is crazy. Unless they offer big, big subsidies like Biden was doing to Foxconn and to Intel. There's no way you're bringing back manufacturing.
No, I don't.
So,
Well, there's an interesting argument around Nixon that him and Reagan basically got rid of the unions. And they wanted to get rid of the unions because they were so freaked out by what happened in the 60s and 70s. So they spent an inordinate amount of time exporting all the work abroad.
yeah.
Therefore, you get rid of the unions in the US, and therefore you don't have to listen to them and get rid of their power and ability to manipulate politics. So if you've got money, then you're okay. But if you want to do it through protest, you're a dick and you have to be gotten rid of. So that's been the theory. So it's really wild to see that, and there's very little argument about manufacturing in the US dropping down. But it's interesting to see that Trump is trying to bring it back. But he could have done it in a more subtle way. Like
Yeah.
he could have just focused on automotive and just gone right. We're going to sort out the car manufacturing base. But he's done it it's 10% across the whole thing.
Some countries have got it worse. I mean, Cambodia got hit with 49% by the looks of it, and you're just like, the fuck did Cambodia do? Or Vietnam, like, it's like Syria's on like 41. It's like, what are you doing? Like Mauritius? Like these are like really like, like it just felt like he was trying to hit everyone at the same
Apart
time.
from Russia and North Korea.
Apparently Belarus is not on the list as well. So
Really?
yeah, that's what someone messaged me about. So um, yeah, I'm just trying to find a picture with the bloody tariffs on, but just nothing's helping me at the moment. But Mark Carney talking about fighting back, and I think there was a story, talking about China, Japan, and South Korea looking to work together more. You're talking two, really historic enemies there, and the US's allies in the regions talking about increasing trade with each other. All he's done is push countries more closer together by doing this because he's given them a common enemy, which is him, and everyone can look at him and say, get a load of this guy. Like, Xi Jinping, can say like, look, we want, peace through diplomacy and trade. He's looking to spark a trade war with us. Like, we haven't even done anything.
Other than build cars.
Yeah.
Other than
And
build
and
cars. That's
built good
it.
cars, built good cars as
Good
well.
cars.
Like, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, all he's gonna say is the US can't compete with us. That's it. Fair enough, they
You
offer massive subsidies, but the US can't compete.
my experience of driving American versus European cars. I lived and worked in the States for 9 months. The cars aren't their cars are designed for long straight line trips and big wide streets. And then you try and use them over in the UK. And the streets are like narrower and more turns and bendy and winding. You find that the cars aren't suited. So I don't get what the hell he's doing if he thinks
I
that they're bringing it in, and then who's going to export to it?
from what I've heard on, I think it was Newsnight, I think it was Nick Watt who was talking about it, is that in a couple of years this whole thing will blow over and countries will just kind of forget about it. But it's just like I don't think so because not only have you started a trade war with them, you've also gone at people directly and politicians. Like this is the perfect thing for Mark Carney because it gives them a rallying point for the
Yep.
Canadians to say, look, we're
Yep.
all uniting against this one dude who's causing us all sorts of problems. Um,
But he's
Same
also
thing, yeah,
an expert in accounting, numbers, economics,
yeah,
dealt with Brexit, dealt with trade.
yeah.
So I'm like,
Honestly, I think this is a massive fumble from him. Like, talking about 25% tariff on the EU. It's like no one's going to buy American goods. You increase manufacturing, no one's going to buy it, and you're going to become a pariah. Like, people are talking about export taxes, and that's what Canada are putting on the oil. I think they're going to export the energy they're going to export because that stuff subsidizes with Canadian money, which I think is a great idea for them to do.
yeah,
But also like like you take the way the US has built power is not just through hard power, it's through soft power, through influence. You've gotten rid of all of that by doing this. And that's the thing, like he can't he managed to bully nations back during his first term. He bullied Germany a lot and other countries for not making their NATO contributions, which I think he was fair to do, right? And now he's bullying them for trading with them. And you're like, okay, like what do you want countries to do? Like just buy all your stuff? Like you like you said about the cars as well. Like I always said like Dodge Viper is one of the coolest cars I've seen. And my friend was like, well, it's trash because you're gonna kill someone because they can't turn, like you said.
There
And
you go.
that's what I mean. Like
There you go.
you can't drive that in Europe. You can't drive those sorts of cars in Europe. It's not practical.
They're too
So
wide.
yeah,
The fucking width, like I think even our car parking spaces aren't right. Fucking hell, we turned into Top Gear.
yeah, Clarkson. But
Fuck that.
I'm I'm telling you, like it's just. I think the Biden approach was much better through subsidies.
Mm.
I think what you could have done is additional taxes on companies that are using, that are outsourcing massively. You could have done something like that. But attacking Taiwan is diabolical given their situation as well. Like that doesn't make any sense because all you're doing is massively pushing up the cost of computers and things like that for the US to buy.
Yeah,
Because these Intel plants, Intel have got massive problems of their own for the record in terms of manufacturing and things like that. They're using TSMC as well, I believe. So they're making all the stuff in Taiwan. You're going to make the stuff 40% more expensive for your own consumers. And it's like if you're working in the tech sector, your computer price has gone up dramatically now, and you're going to struggle to get in the stuff you need. Like for R&D and things like that, this is a disaster. For like movie production, for like any content creation, this is a complete disaster for them. The guy's a plonker.
maybe, maybe. So most of their computer chips come from Taiwan. Maybe he's just going, right, build up a manufacturing base as quickly as possible. Fuck Taiwan. Taiwan can go to hell and China can take it over. And
Those
then we don't have to deal with that crap anymore. China gets what it wants, tension goes down, and we get our own manufacturing base
that
being rapidly built because everyone's going to go, well, if it's 50% more to get it from Taiwan, it's probably cheaper to manufacture in the States. There's an opportunity. Let's invest.
those plants are incredibly sophisticated. Like you're
Yes.
talking like, really you're
Yes.
talking the high end gear here, to build these kind of manufacturing plants. And the US started building these sites years ago, and they're nowhere near completion. And also, you still need the staff as well. You need really, highly trained staff in order to work in these plants. They're no joke. CPU production, computer part production is no joke. And Taiwan have got it down to a T because it's very effective. Like I watched, Gabe's Nexus did a video on it where he went to the factories and stuff like that. The way they recycle water, everything is very, very efficient over there. And so you're going to have to get the US to do that, which the US, is struggling with manufacturing, and who you're going to get to work in these places because you're not going to allow immigrants to do it. So
No.
it just this whole thing makes absolutely zero sense. He's not thought this through. Like unless you're going to offer big subsidies, then you might have a shot, and then you can kind of strong arm other countries by saying, well, if you tariff us, we're not going to be the ones to save you. If he pulls out of NATO now,
Mm.
then there's an argument he can make of, well, you best not put tariffs on us, or when the Russians invade you, we ain't gonna be there. That's the only way he could play this, and he's just not. There's no coherent strategy in that sense. You're trying to bully other countries. You've got to go complete the whole way. You can't partially try and bully people because they're going to fight back.
Except us.
Well,
Because
we were
I've got to ask,
we were cucked
actually,
from the start.
I've got to ask, where does Northern Ireland land?
Northern Ireland is a weird one because of the fact that it's technically part of the UK. So they're going to face the 10% tariffs, I imagine. So there's a whole theory about how people can funnel goods from Ireland to Northern Ireland and sell them to the US. So you'd get, much lower tariffs. But I do wonder how much of a faff that is. Because America
There's
does
nothing on the
buy,
border.
yeah,
You just drive
America,
it over.
pretty much. You still got rules of origins, I think, as well. That might be an issue.
Fucking hell. Are we about
But
to give Northern Ireland or Ireland like a huge economic boost?
potentially,
I
because
don't
there
know,
is.
but it's in the single market.
Well, there was a wise man, Rishi Sunak, who once said you get the best of both worlds, being in the UK's single market and being in the EU single market, I guess. So he said you get the best of both worlds, and he might have been right. I do want because there is, I think, is it Cherry Gold or something like that. There's a butter brand they like over there from Ireland.
Mm.
Apparently, it's meant to be the best stuff around. Don't know if that's true, but they do buy some Irish like dairy products and pharmaceuticals and things like that as well. So the cost of medicine's going to go up over there. I think he buys like British Sudafed because it's got a specific ingredient in it that the Americans don't have. So
Right.
like I said, he's clueless. And I think he's jumped the shark here massively. Like, there is a way to do this, to use tariffs to boost domestic production. We have seen that historically. Some countries have done that. I
Yeah.
think Canada has done it. America has done it as well, way in the
South
past,
Korea did it with Kia, the car
hmm
manufacturer. That's how they built up the car manufacturer.
Because the whole idea is you protect your domestic industries. The problem is now, like, unless you offer these multinationals some benefit, like, there's only a few companies in the world that produce the computer parts they're going to need. Literally, it's Intel, it's AMD via TSMC,
Hmm.
and Nvidia. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, you got ARM as well, I guess. You got like, probably five companies that are push, six companies that are push. So, if you're going to isolate all of them, because they're all mostly based in Asia. There is an Intel plant, I think it's in Ireland, as well. Like this stuff is wild. Like he's no idea what he's doing. And I think this potentially could be the end of America in the sense of they won't be the world's superpower anymore because I can see them splitting. Like this is really fractious for people. Like, you're talking on the southern border, they probably import a lot of their food from Mexico. That's going to go up dramatically. They're going to put more checks down that border as well because he keeps talking about drug problems and all of this stuff and people smuggling. Like this is a washout for them.
What do you think of the Brexiteers who've been saying that we actually got a Brexit bonus finally of the?
No, because we're small potatoes. That's why we're small potatoes. We've lost way more
But they
trade
haven't.
than.
We still haven't got the 20% tariff. So if we rejoin, then we'll get a 20% tariff.
I mean, I suppose
Playing
there's
devil's
trade there.
advocate.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. But it's like, okay, if you look at how much trade we lost with the EU, how much trade we lost in general, right? This 10% thing is gonna be nothing in comparison to what we've lost. This is a very, you got to look at it at scale. Like you're talking about a very small win in a sea of losses. Yeah, you won one league game, you lost 38, 37, you're gonna get relegated. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna celebrate that.
Yeah,
Your team's losing 9-0. You score, you do the bloody Mbappe celebration when you go like that, right? You look like a twat. That's literally what they're doing. You look like a twat. It's like you can't. No, your team's lost, mate.
I
Like,
think there's something else to be said within that as well, which is if he's not done a global recession because we're outside the market, we've got nowhere else to go
mhm.
because we cut like whereas the rest of Europe, if we're in it, we could just go right. Well, let's just figure out the internal trade. We can't do
It's
that.
it's not just the internal trade they've got as well. It's a lot of external trade they've got with other countries. The EU has a lot
Mm.
of trade deals with a lot of different countries, and they could look at countries like Turkey, Japan. They've got trade deals with them. They've got trade deal with Canada, and they could say to these countries like, look, we've lost the US, but we've got goods we want to buy from you, and we've got goods you want to buy from us. Instead of selling over there, why don't we work together and figure out what we can do here? And that's what Canada's going to do. Mexico's going to do. They're going to look at their neighbors and things like that and say, look, you know, fair enough. The US don't want to buy this stuff anymore. They can't. Where else can we sell this to? And that's it. Like you can have a lot of countries working together here to really look at what they can do. Because that's what the EU did. They said, okay,
Yeah.
cool. The UK don't want to buy this stuff, or it can't go through the border. Let's look at someone else to buy it,
Yep. That's it.
and they have.
And they will. I see it very much as we're a teabag in the ocean now, whereas they're in a fortress. And I'm just going, I know where I'd rather be. And like
Yeah.
the teabag in the ocean can work if the currents are in the right direction. They've literally gone in the most opposite
This
direction with all
this
these
isn't their
tariffs
first
you could
rodeo.
possibly. What's that?
With the EU, this isn't their first rodeo with America either. They had, a trade war with, I think it was either George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush, the son or the
Hmm.
father, one of them. They had a trade war before with them, and they're still there. So this isn't their first time doing this stuff, and they're
No.
very used to dealing with third countries as well. It's one of the big advantages EU member states have over the UK, which is the UK wasn't used to dealing with, different countries and things like that as much. The rest of the world trade, whereas, the EU traders are more adept at that kind of stuff. So, like, this is bad for everyone, but for America, it's way worse because, fair enough, the EU's lost its biggest, potentially its biggest trading partner in the US, right? They still got everyone else. The US is losing everyone at once. Like, the Dumbo, he started war with, the South American countries and Mexico, right? Where are you buying your food from and your coffee and all this stuff? Do you grow coffee in America? Like in North America, you don't. You're going to import it.
And
Do you
that's
know what
going
I
to
mean?
go
Like,
up through the roof.
it's
Yeah. And the Americans
everything.
going to see
Like,
it.
they
Eggs.
complain about egg prices, right? It's going to go through the roof as well. I think they're buying it from Mexico and Canada. They were talking about buying it from the EU. That's all gone now. You talk about coffee prices. They love their coffee at their diners. That's going up now. There's nothing. These tariffs don't help them at all, unless the only thing he could do is all the tariff money push that into domestic manufacturing or domestic agriculture. Do you know what I mean? That's the only way he can like try and make it make sense. But he's not going to do that.
Well, the problem is with the chickens and the eggs is that they had avian flu.
Yeah,
I mean, all the Brexiteers were going, oh, even today they were like, oh, we'll get a trade deal and we'll get chlorinated chicken and it's fine. It's like, no, no, that's how you get avian flu. Like,
yeah,
that's how you get diseases. They transfer over from some sort of animal, whether that's bats, debatable with COVID, but rats with bubonic plague, cowpox, smallpox. I mean, they're putting them in. That's why they're having to chlorinate them because the conditions that they're leaving the chickens in are horrific. And we've got people here being like, yeah, it's all right. But I mean, it's also interesting. tends to be rich people saying that, like Jacob Rees-Mogg. Yeah, chlorinated chicken's fine, and you know full fucking well he's not going to buy it and eat it.
Yeah. No, that's the whole thing, cheap shoes for peasants, all of this stuff. It was never going to impact him. And so for me, like this whole, like we've seen the mini version of this, right? We didn't see tariffs put in the UK, but we saw just the customs paperwork, just the import work, added tremendous cost to everything. Now you're talking about, say, 25% if you're buying from the EU. Right, if
Yeah,
you're a US trader, right, and they do buy like specialist products from the UK, from the EU as well, stuff they can't make over there. That's gone up dramatically, and that's already stuff that is expensive because it's specialist gear. So they're idiots. Like like you know what it is, yeah, with Trump, yeah, he's the quote from Ace Attorney. He says, "You're not a clown, you're the entire circus." That's what he is.
that's true. It's so true. I just, yeah, I'm looking at it and going, wow, Brexit again, once again, it will damage us. I don't see any benefit. Even if they go the 10% tariffs, it's just damage. And
Yeah, yeah,
that's all
yeah.
we're gonna see.
The idea that Starmer like got this as well, like because he was negotiating hard with Trump. It's like this is like
He was
we're small
begging.
potatoes. We're small potatoes compared to everyone else. He probably just picked a random number out of a hat and said, "Yeah, there's 10%."
He
Do you know
was
what I mean?
begging.
Because
It's Brexit begging. We have no leverage over
his
the EU, China, India, or the US. It
his
is
whole
begging
his
for.
whole yeah his whole argument of VATs, well, VATs are like 20%. So if your arguments on VAT, stick 20% on us then. But that's what I mean. Like they can spin it as a win here, like the Starmer team. But I don't see it, to be honest with you. Like if that's a win, then Putin must be laughing. No, he must be taking a fat victory lap because he's on zero, big fat zero. Belarus on a big fat zero. Kim Jong Un a big fat zero.
The Russians must be thinking they have struck gold. He is their golden boy.
He's
Everything. He's fucked
he's
Ukraine. He's fucked trade with the world. Apart from them, like this is just. I mean, we live in crazy. I keep
this
thinking we live in crazy times and
yeah.
something else.
This this is the greatest movie betrayal I've ever seen, like in the history of the game. Like nothing can beat this. Like it was their own guy, and a lot of people, I think there was a famous quote about the only thing that destroy America is from within. It won't be an external power, and it's true. But it's their own stupid system that they've got, the two-party system, which is dumb. The fact that their education system sucks for the most part in a lot of different states, and the fact that they worship money. There's people there that worship money. You got this guy who's rich, he's got charisma, and he's going to offer all the solutions to your problems, which is classic salesman.
Yeah,
And we saw it under the first one, but you put up a candidate in Biden who was, really just wits end mentally. You gave a second candidate who lacks any sort of charisma or energy, but also had no time to set up a good campaign, which no one in the Democratic Party had faith in. So, you let this guy walk in. You might as well give him an open goal. It is
yeah.
crazy business, but if they didn't have, if they had a proportional representation system, at least you could have had someone else run against him. But that's the thing. Like, that's why the French model I think is a lot better, where you can have multiple people run, and then in the end it's 1v1, but it's still a fair chance for anyone else to win if they can. So I think the French model for them would be a lot better. It's a lot more democratic, anyways. But yeah, that it's I think it's Jenga.
One wrong move and it'll collapse.
Yeah.
On that cheerful note, bye.
Be sure to tune in next week for another exciting story from the files of Police Squad.